Hello, yarny friends. So today we are going to talk a little bit about how to take this right here and turn it into this. Not exactly, but it is definitely a great stand-in. This has come up recently for me, and I just think this is a great way how to show how to turn worsted weight into like a chunky 6-weight, or really how to take any yarn and make it like 3 times thicker than it is. There's a lot of reasons you could do this. If you wanted to use up yarn in your stash, you want to use what you have, this is a great opportunity to jump into it. I would not try this technique out if you are working on a project that requires very specific gauge swatch, because it's not going to be an exact science. It's going to depend so much on the type of yarn you use, the brands involved, you know, whether it's like a skinny 4-weight or like a nice big thick 4-weight. Things like that all need to be taken into consideration. To get started, I did make this little sample granny square here out of this 6-weight yarn. They're both acrylic. The chunky yarn just feels nice. It feels a little more luxurious. It is a little more stiffer for sure. I'm using a K 6.5 millimeter hook. So let's see how well we can replicate this using our worsted 4-weight yarn. This may seem complicated, but I assure you it is not. How we are going to do this is very easy. If you can make the letter S, you can start this. So that is really all you need to do to get started there. So we're gonna go ahead and pinch this end right here. And it needs to be an S, like not a backwards S, but you know, a real S. So you wanna pinch this. So this creates your 3 strands right here. And the next step is so simple. Like I said, you're just hanging on and pinching this. And we're gonna move that right there. And just bring that right on through. We've got our 3 strands right here. And then where we pulled that through. First section was kind of small here. You can make it whatever size you want, but I just thought this fit on the camera screen, so I thought that was a good idea. And then you can see here where it transitions, where I pulled that through right there, and there's still the other piece of yarn, and I'm going to keep pulling this down here so you can see this is kind of back to that point again. So you're only making the S once, but you are looping that through, pulling down on the side right here. It just makes that longer. So yeah, you can see where that pulled through. So there's that next little join right there, and it goes all the way down here. And I've got the same 3 strands of yarn. We do the same thing. You just don't even really have to think about it, and just pull it through. So you don't need to make a ton of these loops ahead of time. You can really do it as you go. So what I'm gonna do, I made this granny square here. I didn't bother doing a magic ring for this because I thought if we're messing with this, let's just mess with one thing at a time. You know, we don't need to be messing with 2 things. So we are doing instead of a magic ring, we are going to go ahead and slip knot, and I'm going to go ahead and chain 4. I go ahead and put this side by side right here. You can see that does do a fairly decent job mimicking the size. I want to make this exactly the same way I did my other granny square. Don't want this to turn into a granny square tutorial. I just really want to show you how to crochet with 3 strands of worsted yarn to make a chunky yarn. Just went through another transition there, and I don't think you can really see it. I regularly hold 2 strands of yarn together to crochet because I like that. I like sometimes combining different colors or different weights of yarn, adding more of a lace weight with something else. So I do routinely hold multiple yarns together, but this is phenomenally easier than trying to deal with 3 different skeins of yarn at the same time and trying to, you know, corral them all together. I have very much been enjoying my summer so far. I have taken a little bit of a YouTube break this summer just to kind of slow down the pace and take some time for myself and just kind of recenter myself. Hope you are also enjoying your summer. I went and added too many chains. I thought I didn't add enough. And I was like, no, that was only 2, not 3, but it was in fact 3, and I added a 4th. So I had to take that out real quick. I'm not really having trouble at all accidentally looping the wrong yarn or not looping all 3. That has not been a problem at all. This does eat a lot of that yarn, since I am like just about to finish round 1 right here, and I went through kind of all those sections. So, and it's almost easier to do this in your project because then you've got a little more resistance. Pull that on through, and here we are. So that's what I had to work with. And now you can see I've got all of this right here. In the beginning, when I said to make sure that you're making an S to do this and not a backwards S, is because you will accidentally create 4 strands instead of 3, because I accidentally did that. So I can tell you that's what will happen. Has anybody gotten any really good yarn deals lately? I know I did see that Premier was having their big annual sale, but I did not partake in that. I am trying very hard right now to use up yarns I already have. That's kind of how this video came about to be, is that I wanted to do this technique. I had remembered seeing it a long time ago, could not remember how to do it, and went in search of some videos. And I just thought I wanted to have this in case this is something you have ever thought about doing. Back to the yarn though, you know, I do like some like European yarns, and I have ordered from both Linda Hobby and Hobie. Wool Warehouse is one of my probably my most favorite place to order yarn from. I know a lot of people have ordered from, is it Vilrita in Bulgaria? And I have not ever, just because the shipping cost was just too much for me to be comfortable with. Anyway, I did see that they now have a US site to order from. So all of the prices are in US dollars, and the shipping seemed quite reasonable. I think it was like $6 or $7. So not terrible at all there. And the big difference I noticed, because I had, been a creeper on the Bulgarian website, was just that there was definitely more and more variety on that website. And I noticed with this one, it seemed like there was a lot of yarns there that were in short supply. So I don't know if it's almost like kind of like an outlet type situation for them, where they're able to get rid of some of the stuff that wasn't selling, or I have no clue. That probably somebody's done a video out there on it already, and I thought about it, but like I said, I'm trying to minimize unnecessary yarn purchases right now. This kind of becomes second nature the more you start doing it. Cat is now on the table, so we'll see how this goes. Oh, another little bit of exciting news is I see that Kim from Affordably Crafty is back at it. I absolutely loved her channel. I am very glad to see her on the YouTubes again. She has been back for probably close to a month, I think. I just haven't been on here in that time frame to say welcome back, Kim. I'm so glad to see you. I have been doing this technique on another project, but I haven't actually tried it like head to head with another yarn. So I am excited to kind of see how well this is going to work out. I'm just about to finish up my second round here. So I gotta be honest, it's looking like it's a fairly decent size match. Sometimes that will sneak up on you right there if you're not paying attention. We watched that movie, I think it was called Project Hail Mary, or else it was just called Hail Mary. I think it was on Netflix, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% positive, but it was Ryan Gosling in that. And I don't know if you've seen any of the talk on that, but he is wearing like a iconically vintage Mary Maxim knitted sweater in that, so that was pretty cool. I enjoyed seeing that. And I know Mary Maxim, like, they still have those, like, you can still buy those vintage patterns if that's something you want to do. So like there, I kind of missed one. You just got to pay attention, go back and get it. Oh, there you go. That about snuck away on me again. You would probably also definitely want to take into consideration things like if you are using a striped yarn. It just made shorter stripes, but I'm sure if you had a yarn that had short stripes, you know, it would definitely look like much more variegated, or, you know, maybe if you were using variegated, it wouldn't make that much difference. I don't even know. Like if it was, you know, real small sections, but definitely something you would want to play around with before, you know, committing. Kind of funny. I'd have to just make another little thing right as I'm about to just close in on this third round. Here they are together. Let me bring this up a little more so you can see them side by side. And yeah, they are pretty much size-wise identical here. I think it's almost hard to tell that this is triple layered. I mean, this yarn just looks a little higher end anyway. I mean, it's a little bit shinier where this one's more dull. Definitely, I am not saying to never buy 6-weight chunky yarn and only buy 4-weight and do this. That's definitely not what I'm saying. I don't think it'll work for every project. I don't think it'll work for every yarn, every color of yarn, any of that. Well, color, but you know what I mean, like variegated or striped or solid. But it can definitely work in a pinch if you are wanting to use up some that you already have. Hopefully this was helpful for you. I enjoyed sharing this with you because I know it has helped me out. I am looking forward to having another video out again next week, and I will talk yarn with you then. Bye.